Alright, right off the bat, you already know what number one is. Don't be expecting some off the charts random underground pick just so I can get some street cred with metal elitists. Or should you? Alright, 1998 was kind of the pinnacle for thrash. So many bands were having charting albums, going on world tours, and record companies were like, oh, you picked the low E string at 120 beats per minute? Man, here's a fucking contract. So it was becoming a little diluted, but that doesn't mean that there weren't absolute beauty albums being released, and here's the first of the 5 best of them. Alright, this freaking album always gets me. Mainly because I'll throw it on once a year and be like, alright, let's go, man, this album bangs, baby. The vocals kick in with the... They're absolutely terrible and out of tune with the rest of the freaking music. For real, if it wasn't for these trash tier vocals, this album would be way higher on the list. The riffs are top tier, the bass is juicy and thick. And the drumming is tight with lots of hi-hat action that would later come to personify lots of death metal. These might be the absolute worst vocals I've ever heard in a thrash album. Anyway, let's get to number 4. Death Angel has always been one of the most underrated bands in the entire genre, and I heap tons of praise on them in my best thrash albums, Not by the Big 4 video. And they absolutely deserve it. Their first 3 albums are all pretty legendary. And Frolic in the Park really has a good argument to be the best of the 3. It isn't, but it's an argument. What makes Death Angel so special in a genre full of copy and paste bands trying to copy Kill 'Em All, even to this day, is their ability to throw different elements and different types of genres into their music. Sorry, I was listening to 90% of thrash metal that came out after 1986, but definitely not Death Angel. Number 3. America is definitely the GOAT, but of course Europe's not far behind, especially when it comes to metal. And bands like CORONER really lay this out. Something about Europe and progressive metal, they mix so well, it's really odd. This is yet another album in CORONER's discography that sets them apart from, again, the copy and paste antics of 80s and 90s thrash metal. Even more so than on Frolic in the Park, the guitar work here is heavily melody driven, with tons of hooks that keep you coming back to find out more in the music. Ron Broder is a beast on vocals with an awesome chunky bass tone, and this is an album that will make any metalhead fall in love with the band. CORONER are severely underrated even in their homeland, but apparently they have a new album coming out this year. Let's go. Speaking of underrated, next up we have probably the most underrated album from one of metal's greatest bands. Alright, this album never gets the props it truly deserves for being such a complete album. What makes this album so absolutely fantastic is the personality that surrounds it. It's a messy masterpiece of songs that are too often forgotten about because of the tumultuous time period of Megadeth's history in which it was released. Not to mention that it was released between 2 of the greatest metal albums of all time in Peace Sells and Rust in Peace. The snarling groove of Hook in Mouth and the absolute behemoth of Set the World Afire go toe-to-toe with almost any song in Megadeth's catalog. Not to mention, one of the only Megadeth instrumentals, Into the Lungs of Hell, truly lives up to its namesake. When you listen to it, you are slowly dragged into Dave Mustaine's own personal hell, and you can see how nihilistic and depressed his mind truly was at the time of making this. Songs like In My Darkest Hour, Mary Jane, 502, they show the delinquency and partying and absolute debauchery that the band was up to at this time. Dave's a beauty. This album is fantastic and underrated, and it is second only this year to one other album. Dave, I'm so sorry. I had no other choice. guys are gonna say this is an easy pick, but there's no album, not just thrash, released this year, maybe Leprosy, that can touch this. It is a distant first. Say all you want about the bass, it doesn't take away from the absolute insanity and mind-blowing harmony on this album. Metallica were out of their minds creating this, and they've never topped this level of creativity and progressive writing in their careers. From the odd melody of Blackened's main riff to the epic harmonies on the title track to the absolute stank face-inducing To Live Is To Die, this album has everything you want from an epic release. Metallica are the greatest metal band of all time for a reason. Haters gonna hate. And this album cements them as a legendary band only 4 albums into their career. This is easily the best thrash album of 1988, and it's not even close. Thank you so much for watching. I want to hear what your top albums of 1988 are in the comments below, not just thrash. I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next week on the heaviest show in the universe. Long live metal.